Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julien de Charneux. I am a senior researcher in military ethics in the Department of Behavioral Sciences at the RMA. In this webinar, I will explore the question of spiritual and existential care in the Belgian military. My presentation will be divided into two parts. In the first part, I will present the ongoing reform of the Belgian military chaplaincies aimed at making them more interoperable, more interdenominational, and more interprofessional, promoting dialogue and collaboration among various well-being actors within defense. In the second part, I will focus on describing the SpexCare 1 project, which started last October at the RMA and which aims to develop tools to assess spiritual fitness and spiritual performance in the military context. So let's begin with the reason behind the existence of military chaplaincies and spiritual care services within defense structures. The European Convention on Human Rights and the Belgian Constitution guarantee core freedoms such as freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, as well as the prohibition of coercion and discrimination in matters of belief. These legal texts basically justify and support the development of spiritual care services within the defense. They also provide the foundation for the development of spiritual fitness program, which aims to support personnel in their moral, existential, and spiritual resilience in full respect of pluralism, freedom of belief, and institutional neutrality. By ensuring access to convictional support and by safeguarding individual rights, Belgium aligns its defense policies with both national and international legal obligations, while responding to the real needs of military personnel in diverse operational contexts. As many of you know, the SARM, which stands for Service d'Assistance Religieuse et Morale, is the service representing the Belgian military chaplaincies, as well as other recognized or emerging religious and philosophical convictions in Belgium. It operates under the Directorate General of Health and Well-being and is based at the headquarters of the Belgian Defense Staff in Evere. SARM currently represents three religion-based chaplaincies: Roman Catholic, Protestant, and Jewish, and one humanist chaplaincy. These chaplaincies serve the spiritual, existential, religious, and moral needs of defense personnel. It consists of 24 chaplains and moral counselors, and it is supported by a team of militaries, civilians, and reservists, helping out in various domains. The three religion-based chaplaincies were officially established by a royal decree in 1927. This recognized the importance of chaplains' work during the First World War and provided them with their first administrative and financial status. In 1991, moral counselors joined the Belgian defense under a multidisciplinary context, reflecting a modernized and professional military organization. A reform was officially launched in 2019 to harmonize the status of chaplains from all convictions recognized by the Belgian state to address the actual spiritual needs of defense personnel. This initiative emphasizes an inter-worldview, integrated, interprofessional, and interoperable approach to spiritual care, ensuring chaplaincy services remain relevant and impactful. At its core, the re-engineering process safeguards the unique identity of each conviction while upholding the fundamental principle of separation between church and state. Furthermore, it strengthens the integration of SARM into the organizational structure of the defense. This also enhances collaboration within multidisciplinary support. This also enhances collaboration within multidisciplinary support platforms, for example PSMR, which includes workers, therapists, and psychosocial prevention counselors. Spiritual care is thus positioned as an essential holistic component of well-being within defense. The mission statement, signed in 2019, outlines SARM's shared vision, mission, and values, as well as the specific missions of each chaplaincy. This comprises both inter-worldview and worldview-specific goals, which cover the spiritual existential needs of the Belgian defense and its personnel. Indeed, Belgian military chaplains operate along two complementary work axes. On the one hand, chaplains have a proximity role, in the sense that they provide direct support to individuals and units, offering moral and religious assistance tailored to the diverse spiritual and existential needs of the defense personnel. On the other hand, chaplains act as subject matter experts, advising commanders on spiritual, ethical, and moral issues. Their insights contribute to decision-making processes, ensuring a holistic understanding of human factors within the military context. Together, these two axes, proximity and expertise, form a cohesive framework that integrates chaplains into organizational structure of defense while preserving their independence and neutrality. This approach underscores their critical role in fostering resilience and well-being within the armed forces. The Department of Health and Well-being at Defense develops two complementary approaches. The first one, known as Occupational Health and Safety, focuses on welfare within the working environment. The second one, known as Total Force Fitness, TFF, constitutes a holistic approach that emphasizes the readiness of personnel, ensuring they are fully equipped to meet demands. These two pillars intersect to form well-being at defense, a unified policy that promotes a balanced and sustainable approach to well-being, aligning operational efficiency with personal care. Total Force Fitness can be described as a holistic model of well-being and fitness, elaborated for the military communities. This model conceives health and well-being as manifested through 8 domains of fitness: physical, environmental, medical, nutritional, spiritual, mental, social, and financial, which collectively contribute to the global health and well-being of the defense personnel. Thus, the goal of the TFF model is to have its personnel achieve a level of health and performance consistent with their missions, culture, and identity. Of course, this model, inspired from the US military, must be adapted and aligned with social and cultural context of the Belgian defense and the Belgian society as a whole. The model needs to meet the specific performance and health needs of the Belgian military, which are necessarily distinct from the environment in which the TFF model originally emerged in the United States. As one of the 8 core dimensions of TFF, the spiritual fitness component plays a crucial role, as the past few decades of research on the intersection between spirituality and health have demonstrated the clear-cut correlation between these two fields, contributing to show the impact that spiritual flourishing has on mental and physical well-being. Before delving more into our project, let's clarify the meaning of both terms, spirituality and fitness. Spirituality is a complex and multifaceted construct, the meaning of which very much varies across time, places, and depending on who uses it. In contemporary usage and common language, spirituality is often employed either as a synonym for religion or to designate the inner dimension of religious practice. However, scholars of religious studies have long addressed the distinction between these two concepts. Spirituality may be understood as the way through which one finds existential meaning and purpose to his life, and which helps him sustain hope. The concept of spirituality is distinct from that of religion as it carries a subjective dimension. Different worldviews might view as meaningful things such as philosophies, religions, or distinctive ways of life. But one ought to remember that worldviews can very much be influenced and shaped by other structuring aspects of human existence, such as one's relationship with family, friends, deities, or transcendent beings, one's connection with nature, one's culture or community, one's nation, as well as one's attachment to certain political ideals or principles, for example, democracy, but also physical ideals, and so on and so forth. The experience of this worldview, i.e., one's spiritual experience, pushes one to act and behave in certain ways. In other words, spirituality often comes with sets of values and norms, which compel one to adopt a certain ethos. Thus, even though primarily individual and experiential, spirituality also has a collective dimension. Firstly, groups of people can embrace the same worldview and strive towards the observance of a similar ethos. Secondly, given the fact that spirituality is a driving force for the individual to behave and act in the world, it also impacts one's relationships with others. Thus, every human being possesses a form of spirituality, as all human beings have a spirit. This spirituality might be underdeveloped, one might not be interested in spiritual growth or development, but everyone does have to a certain extent a form of worldview, which drives him or her out of bed in the morning, and which, to a certain extent, pushes him or her to act and behave in certain ways. The association of the words spirituality and fitness often strikes people as odd, given that fitness has become, especially in French, almost synonymous with physical workout and even bodybuilding. The word rather needs to be understood here in the etymological sense, that is, referring to the state or a condition of being suitable or adapted. In fact, the concept of spiritual fitness is in a sense very much aligned with a dynamic understanding of spirituality shared by many philosophical and religious traditions, namely the belief that one can cultivate his or her spirit, grow spiritually if you like, and make it more adaptive. By spiritual fitness, we designate the ability to use one's beliefs and practices to strengthen one's connection with sources of hope, meaning, and purpose, to accomplish one's tasks and missions in units and operations with serenity and integrity. This involves developing the personal traits needed to sustain a person in times of stress, difficulty, and tragedy. These traits can be developed by aligning religious, philosophical, or human values with military values and norms. The concept of spiritual fitness is composed of three interconnected dimensions. The first one is individual spiritual fitness, which focuses on personal convictions, values, and practices, providing individuals with moral clarity and inner strength. The second one is relational and collective spiritual fitness, and stresses shared convictions and practices within a community, fostering unity and mutual understanding. The third one is organizational spiritual fitness. It is centered on the common norms and values of the Belgian defense, aligning personal and collective spiritual resilience with the organization's mission. But of course, despite what we have just said, one may legitimately wonder how a spiritual fitness model might be helpful in the military context. The reason is simple. Hundreds of publications over the past few decades demonstrate that spirituality constitutes a key factor of well-being. This correlation is established not only through qualitative studies but also through quantitative ones. For instance, scholars have observed that spiritual development or fitness had a positive impact on mental domains such as anxiety and stress management, depression and burnout treatment and avoidance, self-esteem, and emotional control, for instance. Numerous studies also show that the correlation between spiritual fitness and physical well-being. It decreases the risk of cardiovascular diseases. It is correlated with better sleep, less suicidal ideation and attempts, increased longevity, lower alcohol and substance abuse, and so on and so forth. A high level of spiritual fitness also has undeniable impact on the collective communal level, as spiritually fit people tend to have less harmful behaviors towards others and be more caring towards the community. Of course, these studies do not demonstrate that spirituality has itself a direct impact on mental or physical health, but rather that spiritual and religious factors appear to serve as one of many other indirect but significant factors in promoting good health and well-being. But as I said, it is important that the Belgian defense adopt a model of spiritual fitness adapted to its identity and values. The role of SpexCare 1 project, which started last October, is precisely to develop this Belgian-specific spiritual fitness model over the 3 next years, in exploring and analyzing systematically the spiritual needs of the defense. The first phase of the project, which is still ongoing, is dedicated to both theoretical research and fieldwork. Firstly, we are carrying out a scoping literature review of the different models of spiritual fitness, readiness, performance, resilience in the literature, with the aim to identify the various components and dimensions of these at times overlapping concepts. The literature review is made through Covidence. We are now arriving at the end of the full text review on our way to extract data. Secondly, we are coding and analyzing interviews made of key relevant stakeholders within the Belgian defense through the software NVivo, among whom the interview of several chaplains. Thirdly, through the same process, we are also coding and analyzing 3 open-ended questions that were asked in a survey run in 2024 by Major Letovaltseva, the supervisor of the project, the co-supervisor of the project, on spiritual existential needs at the Belgian defense, where respondents were asked about their definition of spirituality and spiritual, their concrete needs at the Belgian defense in terms of spirituality, and the tools they could see implemented in that context. These different aspects of the project will help us identify key components and indicators of spiritual fitness within the Belgian defense. These indicators will be gathered and evaluated through a Delphi method protocol involving defense experts, international scholars, as well as frontline practitioners through multiple rounds of questionnaires from January 2026 onwards, with the aim to reach a consensual model of spiritual fitness coherent with the Belgian defense values, missions, and culture at the end of 2027. During the last year of the project, we aim to implement our model and test the new tools that will be developed in this context. This will comprise 2 different kinds of tools. On the one hand, we will develop tools for assessing quantitatively and qualitatively the level of spiritual fitness of service members. On the other hand, we will develop tools such as educational programs, spiritual development programs, or even ceremonies and ritual, favoring spiritual fitness development. I will be happy to come back here in a few months to share with you the preliminary results of our research, but I simply want to conclude here in mentioning that the development of spiritual fitness in the Belgian defense and its decision to launch a project on this topic now positions Belgium as one of the leaders in the domain at the European and NATO level. Members of our team are chairing and taking part to various NATO STO research groups, among which the HFM 394 on spiritual dimension of military health and resilience. In this context, our team is co-organizing a workshop in Sweden next October, which will gather international experts on the topic and which will contribute to provide our model with an interoperable dimension within NATO framework. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to answering your questions.